The member's time has expired. The member for Beaumont will take his seat. The question is that the amendments be agreed to. I call member for Boothby.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. When faced with the decision of the High Court last year, there were two possible responses. One response was to address the issues which the High Court had identified, that quite simply the Malaysian people swap deal was illegal under Australian law. Under Australian law, there were protections there for people who were seeking asylum. And that is why I support the amendment moved by the member for Cook and the Shadow Minister. This is a good amendment. And what it does is mean that Australia can use, and the Minister for Immigration can use, any of the signatories to the UN Convention on Refugees. There are over 148 signatories. And I find it extraordinary that the Labor Party, the party of Everett and Chifley, the party of Gareth Evans, has so little regard for the United Nations and their agencies and for a multilateral convention which is administered by one of the UN agencies. The Labor Party used to be the party that supported the United Nations and that supported multilateral treaties. There's been some historic revisionism about the events leading up to 2001. And I remember very well the first border protection bill that John Howard brought into this chamber. And the then Leader of the Opposition, Kim Beazley, did not support it, and the Labor Party did not support it. And one of the issues then, as it is now, was the protection that was there for refugees. Now, this is an issue which all countries have faced. Europe faces it, the United Kingdom faces it, the United States faces it. And the one thing that differentiates Australia is that up until 2007, Australia had shown a solution to the issue of people smuggling and had shown a strong policies in the area of border protection. And one of the problems with what the incoming government did in 2007 was they just started to pick at the regime that was there when they came to office. There were only 4 people in detention centres. And as they picked it, the thing began to unravel. Now, we've heard talk about a regional solution. The idea of a regional solution is not new. The Howard government was represented at the original Bali conference in February 2002. And in this debate, we should remember the tremendous cooperation we have through members of the Australian Public Service, and I think particularly of the Australian Federal Police, and the excellent work that they do right across the region to combat people smuggling. So Labor now support offshore processing. We've always believed on this side that offshore processing was an important element of the deterrent to stop people smuggling. That's why we had Manus Island, and that's why we had Nauru. Now, one of the things that we see now is a government which is just floundering about. In the lead up to 2007, one of the things that the member for Griffith said when he was trying to position the Labor Party as a party that could actually deal with these issues, he talked about the layers of the onion and how really you needed to manage national security and then you needed to manage the economy, and you needed to do those two things before you could do anything else. And that was to reassure people that Labor Party could manage these issues. And what we've seen now is over 300 boats arrive during their watch. We've got now a desperate government seeking desperate measures. The solution has to be the reintroduction of temporary protection visas. The solution has to be offshore processing, but the solution has to include the protections that are there in the UN Convention on refugees. We have a strong migration program, we have a strong humanitarian resettlement program, but it needs to be an orderly program, and this government have lost control.
The member's time has expired. The question is that the amendments you agree to. I call the member for Scullin.
Deputy Speaker, I first